Today we are going to continue with testing the hot hand, but this time we will look at the number of streaks. A different test statistic we can use to test for the hot hand is the number of streaks of successes or failures of at least a certain length. Although you can use streaks of any length, we suggest the following guidelines when using streaks as test statistics. If the total number of games is less than 50, use streaks of at least 3 in a row. If the number of games is between 50 and 100, use streaks of at least 4 in a row. And if the number of games or attempts is more than 100, use streaks of at least 5 in a row. For example, suppose we wanted to see if the 1998 Baltimore Orioles were a streaky team. That is, we want to see if there is convincing evidence that they had a greater ability to win following a win than following a loss. We will use the number of streaks of at least 5 in a row as the test statistic to test the following hypotheses. Our HO is the outcomes of games for 1998 Baltimore Orioles were independent, and our HA is the 1998 Baltimore Orioles were a streaky team. Here are the game results in order for the 1998 Baltimore Orioles, who finished the season with 79 wins and 83 losses. Each streak of at least 5 in a row is underlined. Because there were 9 streaks of at least 5 wins or losses in a row, the value of the test statistic is 9 for the 1998 Orioles. We will conduct a simulation assuming the outcomes of the games are independent. We will write the outcomes, 79 W's and 83 L's, on 162 note cards, shuffle them, and lay them down in a random order. Then we will count the number of streaks of 5 or more in each simulated season. Here are the results of 100 trials of the simulation, assuming that the outcomes of games are independent. Each dot represents the number of streaks of 5 or more in a simulated season. And you can see that there were only 2 simulated seasons where there were 9 or more streaks of at least 5 wins or losses in a row. So our p-value would be 2 out of 100, or 2%. So to interpret, we would say, assuming the outcomes of the Orioles games are independent, we would expect to see at least 9 streaks of 5 or more, 2% of the time by random chance. What can we conclude about the 1998 Orioles? 2% is pretty low, so you would say we reject HO. We have convincing evidence that the Orioles are a streaky team. Mario Lemieux of the Pittsburgh Penguins was one of the most popular and talented hockey players of his generation. In the 1988-89 regular season, he led the NHL in goals with 85, demonstrating that he had a great ability to score. But was his ability to score higher following a good performance, or was his ability to score the same following a good performance and a poor performance? Here are the outcomes of each of his 76 games in that season, where Y indicates a game where he scored a goal, and N indicates a game where he did not score a goal. A says, describe what it means if Mario Lemieux is a streaky hockey player. So what that would mean is that Lemieux had a greater ability to score in a game following a game where he had scored than one where he didn't. So B says, state the hypotheses we are interested in testing. So our HO is the outcomes of Lemieux's games are independent and our HA is Lemieux is a streaky player. How many streaks of at least 4 in a row did Lemieux have in the 1988-89 regular season? Well, if you go back and you count, he had 5 streaks of at least 4 or more. How would we simulate the distribution of the test statistic? So he had 49 games where he scored a goal and 27 where he didn't, which would be 76 total games. So you would take 76 note cards, and write, we'll just say yes on 49 and N on 27. So yes, a goal, and not a goal. Then we would shuffle and lay them out. Count the number of streaks of 4 or more. Plot on a dot plot and repeat many times. E says the dot plot below shows the results of 100 simulations, assuming the outcomes of the games were independent. Use the results to estimate and interpret the p-value. So he had 5, so it would be here and up. So our p-value is going to be 63 out of 100, or 63%. So to estimate that, we would say, assuming the outcomes of Lemieux's games were independent we would expect to see at least 5 streaks of 4 or more, 63% of the time by random chance. Based on the p-value, is there convincing evidence that Mario Lemieux was a streaky hockey player? So 60% is pretty high, so you would say we failed to reject HO. We do not have convincing evidence. That Lemieux is a streaky player.